Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Odyssey House Journals. I'm Randall Carlisle, along with my co-host, Rachel Santizo. How are you today, Rachel?
I'm good. How are you, Randall?
I am great. I've got to tell you, your perfume smells wonderful today.
It's new. I'm glad that you noticed. Thank you.
People didn't realize you can do smell-o-vision on Zoom as well, right?
You're a talented man.
This is a podcast about addiction and recovery, and we try to impart a few facts before we do our main interview. And I've got to tell you, our main interview today is probably wilder than the what's the new TV show, The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This one is pretty good, so that's a tease to stay tuned. How many people do you know, Rachel, on a more somber note, who have died from overdoses?
Oh. So me personally?
Well, yeah, or been aware of.
Oh, I've been aware of, just this year alone, I would say 50 to 75 people.
Yeah, it's an incredible problem. I found an article just recently that says it's a new study found that fentanyl deaths have increased in states west of the Mississippi. That's according to NPR. They say fentanyl has spread westward, increasing deaths in the short term and threatened to dramatically worsen the nation's already severe opioid epidemic in the long term. I was at a syringe exchange network meeting this week, and the state of Utah is giving out fentanyl test strips now when they're doing their needle exchanges. And 65% of the people who use the test strips on both heroin and meth came back positive for fentanyl.
Wow, that's incredible. And I know there's a new one out too called the Hulk. And so it's like a green tint, and a lot of people are overdosing from that one.
Wow. So a warning to anybody who is watching or who has a loved one who is using right now to maybe get a fentanyl test strip. They're available at syringe exchanges, and because you don't know what you're getting. You can't get, you were out on the streets for a long time. If you bought, what were you into, pills?
Oh, heroin, hands down. I like the needle and heroin.
Okay, and as you well know, your neighborhood dealer doesn't have a money back guarantee, right? Or a guarantee.
Not.
Or a guarantee. How did you know? Did it worry you when you'd buy from a dealer that you had no idea what you were getting?
Absolutely, all the time. I remember one of the craziest things that I was sold and I didn't know until I actually started cooking it was candle wax. It happens. And so in situations like this, I think the smartest thing that anyone can do, because if people are going to use, if they're not ready, it's going to happen, right? But having Narcan on you, or if you know loved ones that are using, just Narcan. And that's what I feel like is the best advice out there.
Excellent advice. Do you know that today is a special day? We should say that we record these podcasts, and today, which is November 20th, is a special day across the country and across the world. Do you know what it is?
I don't.
Okay, it is Transgender Day of Remembrance. Yes.
I love that.
I'm not sure how many people are aware of that. And so with that in mind, we have a special transgender guest today, Tisha Olsen. Turn on your video and audio, Tisha. Hello, Tisha.
Yeah.
Hello, Randall. How are you?
I'm good. You just, one of the reasons we had to record this a half hour later is because you had a special occasion you had to go to today. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, actually, today was the first time in history that the transgender flag was raised up at the VA hospital today.
Wow.
It was the very first time.
How many people were there?
There was only about 6 of us there because we wanted the social distancing, but it was broadcast live through the VA social media. So
wow.
The folks who could not be there were able to watch it live.
Wow. Well, it's the news article I called up for today said that It honors transgender people who in the past year, 53 lives were taken in the United States that we know of, and 386 worldwide, including death by violence, self-harm, and those who died in ways yet to be determined. And that's just in 1 year. Are you know a lot of people who are dealing with a lot of these issues?
Yes, I do actually. It affects the whole transgender community and actually the LGBTQ community. And for the last 5 years, I've been really involved with TDOR, or Transgender Day of Remembrance. I'm a name reader, and I read the names. And every year that number grows, and it's unfortunate that it does grow. That number should be getting shorter, should be getting smaller, because of the hate and the undue violence. Three of the transgenders I know of were actually bound and lit on fire, and that is just, it's unbelievable what we will do to each other just because we don't understand, or because we feel that it is wrong.
Okay, help us understand. Maybe tell us a little about your life, how, what's transpired in your life when you decided to come out, whether you're married, have kids, did you serve in the military? Can you maybe a little on your life?
Sure. Actually, I was born in 1965. So basically, back then, transgender wasn't even heard of.
Didn't even know did the word even exist? Maybe
it did not.
Okay.
At the age of 6, I knew something was different about me. I didn't really know what it was, but I knew I was definitely not like the rest of the boys. Growing up, I was shunned when I was found out and punished for it. So I learned to hide at a very young age, and that's when I started being very angry. Turned to alcohol at a very young age to get rid of those feelings of shame, guilt, being a freak, a weirdo, and things like that. And then
by found out? What do you mean? What do you mean by found out back then? Was it that you were dressing like a female? Were you wearing makeup? What did that look like?
Yes, I would wear clothes if I was home alone, and sometimes my parents would come home and catch me. When I was in junior high school, I would actually go home during lunch and put on my mother's makeup. And sometimes, like us women know, mascara doesn't always come off. So, it was kind of noticeable. So, I had to learn how to defend myself quite well, but also I started doing all the things that would prove my manhood, to prove to people that I wasn't a weirdo or a freak. I mean, I played football, I played baseball, I played hockey, rodeoed, raced motorcycles, everything and anything to prove that I was manly. And I joined the military, not because I wanted to prove that I was manly, but because it's part of our livelihood in my family. I'm an 8th generation Marine. And
thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome. But while in the military I had to hide still. I went in during the time of before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And then Don't Ask, Don't Tell came in. And the interesting thing that people don't realize is even today, you cannot serve openly in the military being transgender. And basically what that looks like is that to get a retirement, to be fully vested, you have to have 20 years or more. So if I would have had 19 years, 364 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes and 59 seconds, and someone would out me, I would have lost everything. I would have lost my career, would have lost my benefits, and would have been dishonorably discharged
Just because you're
just
transgender.
because I'm transgender. Obama lifted that ban in his second term, and now Trump has reinitiated it. And we're still wondering why. Because with all the surveys that they took, talking to all the generals and things like that, yeah, there'll be growing pains just like there are in the world today. But however, they don't see where it would ever compromise or even hurt the military, having somebody being transgender serving openly. Just like there isn't a problem with gays and lesbians and bisexuals serving openly. And in all actuality, as I look back at it, is how better would I have been if I didn't always have to worry about being found out, if I'd always didn't have to worry about hiding, and I didn't have that stress on top of everything else that comes with being in the military. You know, how much better of a Marine would I have been?
I think, Tisha, I think that you were an amazing Marine with what you had. And so I just want to point that out, that you went in and did the best for who you were. And so I know that I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful for you being on here and being open about it, and that you can be today. When you said that you started drinking right before the military. And so when you joined the military and then you had all those stressors on top of it, how did that feed into your drinking? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, that definitely fed into my drinking. And then plus on top of what I did, I was in the infantry. I went in and I did special operations. And so alcohol was a constant. It was always there, and it was what I could use to hide my feelings and to stop and not have to deal with them like most addicts do. And I even found ways to make it around the urinalysis testing so I could do certain types of drugs. And I was able to retire. I got out, and then after that, it was a free for all. So I can tell people I really don't have a drug of choice. Alcohol was a constant, but after that, I was equal opportunity drug user. Anything I could use to shut this off.
At the time that you got out, were you dressing how you wanted to? Did you feel comfortable in your own skin? Could you?
No, I was still hiding and still trying to be something that the world wanted me to be. Got a divorce. I was married, got a divorce. I have 5 beautiful children. 3 of them are my own, 2 of them are my new wife's today. I am married today, 16 wonderful years. And my wife has supported me from day one. We've had a rocky go of it, ups and downs. And the majority of it was brought on by me just due to the fact I'd been hiding all of these years. And when I came out, that was it. I'm coming out. I'm done hiding. I'm done doing and being what everybody else wanted to be. And unfortunately, it was unfair to my wife. And again, this is also part of addiction too. And what I use being a peer support specialist and when I teach life skills is that time. And when we're going through and we're starting early in our recovery and we're doing really great, we want people to notice that. We want people to accept that, especially our friends and our families, the ones we've hurt the most. But we have to realize that it's not on our time schedule. It's on their time schedule. They're the ones that need to have the time and the chance to wrap their heads around it. Go ahead.
It seems that because you're showing up today, right? And that must have been super powerful for you and the people that are scared, that are still living your situation, that are serving in any type of military. And it seems like, so you're a peer support specialist, you work at Odyssey House, like you show up for people that are struggling. And it seems like that has really been a healing thing for you. Is that
Yes,
fair to say?
yes, it is. I got into the peer support because a veteran never gave up on me. Told me informed me I was worth it. My last claim to fame 14 years ago is I walked into the VA emergency room under my own powers, mind you, with a blood alcohol level of 6.2.
Whoa.
And tried to get a therapist to believe that it was just a one night stand or that it was just a one night thing. And that I, you know, I built that tolerance just in one night. And she goes, yeah, keep trying to lie to me. So, and then I had a veteran that basically says, I'm worth more than this. And she helped me. And my way of paying her back is to pay it forward.
So you've been clean and sober for how long?
14 years.
Wow.
No,
Way to go.
thank you.
Well, back to your life story. I'm not trying to be salacious, but when you came out and you said it took your wife a little while to accept it or whatever, and she's fine now. What was her first response?
Well, her first response was she was worried about the neighbors. She was worried about the repercussions that may come along because of it, because of the hate and the bigotry that comes along with it. But still she supported me 100%. She knew from day one when we first started dating that I told her that, hey, and at first I thought it was just I was a cross dresser. And she was the one who actually told me to start looking into it. And that's when I found out, no, there's a little bit more to it. I'm transgender.
What is
And
the difference between the two?
cross dressers, mainly, they like to dress in the other gender's clothing, and it's more of a sexual release for them.
Okay.
It excites them.
Okay.
To where for me is I'm born this way and I feel comfortable. This is how I feel comfortable. I never ever felt truly comfortable being a male. And actually it's been scientifically proven. Katie Couric did a wonderful job with her documentary called Gender Revolution. And it's proven that we are born this way. And so it's like, if you would take a brain scan of all three of us, my brain scan would be more like yours than it would be Randy's. I think as a female.
So
And
everybody always asks this question. I'm going to be criticized for asking it. What is your sexual desire for your wife? Do you have sex with your wife? Do you like women or men, or how does all that work?
oh yeah, I love my wife. I have sex with my wife. I'm 100% pure-blooded lesbian. And
Good. I like that.
and that's where a lot of people get it mixed up. They because they think since you're transgender that your sexuality changes also. Sexuality is sexuality. Gender is gender. Just because I feel like a woman, I think like a woman and all that, I'm still attracted to females. I still love my wife. There's nothing more beautiful in this world than my wife.
And you have male body parts, correct? Or not?
Some, not all.
And do you
But-
want to change that? Like eventually, would you like to change all of your body parts?
Right now I'm comfortable where I'm at. There's some other things that I would prefer to do than going all the way through with it, but going all the way to gender affirming surgery. but also too is just due to the fact of HRT, which stands for hormone replacement therapy, what is there is minuscule anymore because my body has went through hormonal changes.
Okay.
The girls are real, homegrown.
What, why are there so many people suffering from addiction who are transgender? It's a huge, horrible problem, and suicide and things like that.
It is because of how we're treated, is because of how people react to us. And that's why this day is so very, very important to me, is all of my brothers and sisters out there that were murdered this last year just because they wanted to be authentic and live authentically, you know, their flame has been extinguished. So it's my job to keep carrying this torch and to be a voice for the transgender community so everyone can hear. And I'm fortunate enough to be in my recovery that I don't care what people think anymore. I love myself. I like myself. I am very much happy with who I am and what I am. But a lot of us, especially early in our transition, we get looked at, we get scoffed at. I'm sorry, I'm built like a linebacker. I have a deep voice. You know, I have a very commanding voice, and I think that probably comes from the Marine Corps. And I have
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
show us your nails again.
I see your nails again.
All right.
Can you see them? Okay.
Yep.
But and even though it doesn't bother me, or I use it as a chance to educate people when they misgender me, it still hurts. And it's part of that what I call microaggression. You know, I walk into the VA, I'm completely dressed in a dress and heels, makeup and everything, and first thing, yes, sir, how are you doing? And I'm like, really? So that is a lot of reasons why we turn to alcohol and drugs, because we want the pain to stop. You know, it's the same reasons. It's the same reasons why everybody else, every other addict and alcoholic turns to it. We want it to stop. You know, it's a way that we can feel better about ourselves. It's a way that we can wake up in the morning and face the world. You know, and the suicide rate is, and especially Utah has a highest suicide rate. We are well above the national average for transgender youth.
So what would you say to transgender youth or people that are going through similar struggles? Like, is there groups, are there things, what can help an individual that struggles?
What I would say to another transgender is that number one is be you. And don't be afraid to be seen. That there are numerous amount of resources out there. You have the Pride Center, you have T, which stands for Transgender Education Advocates of Utah. You got Equality Utah. You have the Pink Pistols, which is a queer community that, and what we are is we're not gun fanatics, but we want to teach the queer community how to properly handle a weapon, know all the safety rules. What?
I love that name. That is fantastic.
Thank you. And but able to protect themselves too, you know, because we know that we're the only ones who will protect ourselves.
Why is it human nature for a lot of people to say, maybe, you know, well, you say you get beat up a lot, you get ridiculed a lot. Why do people just seem to abhor you or find you disgusting or hate you? Why is that? You're a human being.
I am a human being, but unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who, and I'm using this term as this term is meant in a dictionary. There are a lot of people out there who are ignorant, and the term ignorance means not educated. It doesn't mean that they're stupid or dumb or anything else like that. It just means they're not educated and they won't open their mind. They see things male, female, period. And that's why a lot of times, like I say, when I see somebody looking at me a little bit different or something else like that, is I'll take a chance and I'll wave and I'll say, hi, how are you? And most of the time they'll look away, but sometimes they'll say hi back and I'll start up a conversation and I'll take the chance to educate. Granted, I will say when I was early in my recovery or early in my transition, is I'd see somebody looking at me, and the first thing that comes to my mind, and it's still something that comes to my mind, is they're judging me. They're thinking I'm a freak. They're thinking I'm a weirdo. And I'll look at them, and I used to look at them, and me being a very soft-spoken individual,
Yeah, right.
I would sit there and say, I'd turn around and look at them and say, what in the hell are you looking at? You got a problem with me? Da 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 da. But as I started getting farther along in my transition and farther along in my recovery and farther along loving who I am and accepting who I am and coming to terms with all the other demons that I have going on, now I look at people and are some of them judging me? Probably. And that's their problem. That's their issue. And I don't have to own that. They can own that. Do they don't know what to think about it? Good possibility. Again, that's their problem. I don't need to own that. Or are they sitting here looking at me like, I don't know how to approach this person and I don't want to offend them. And that's how I look at it anymore. And that's why when I do see someone like that, I will wave and I'll start the conversation, because I would rather educate someone than someone just walking around thinking whatever they are thinking. And then plus two, as I look at it, and I apologize to all the people I reacted the way I did when I was young, when I was early in my transition. Because if I was the first transgender they met, next time they see us, they're gonna say, "Whoa, them people are crazy," But if I come up and I just say, "Hi, I'm Tisha. Yes, transgender. Identify as she, her. I identify as female. I prefer she, her pronouns. This is why." Then it educates them. So next time they meet them there, or they see a transgender, they're going to say, "Hey," just like what you said, Randy, "a human being."
Great message to get across. We are, believe it or not, a half hour is up already. Can you believe how quickly that goes?
I apologize for talking so much.
No, we've learned so much from you, and I think we need more things like this to get out to the public, because I had some questions I was embarrassed to ask you, and I hope I didn't offend you.
No, and if I could say anything for people who do have questions and don't understand, I can't speak for anyone else, and I don't like speaking for anyone else. I can only speak for me. But I feel that a lot of the transgenders that I know would prefer you to come up and ask the question than just assume, because then we can answer it, or we can try to help explain it.
Good point. Hopefully this did. Tisha Olsen, you are a magnificent speaker and representative of the transgender community. So hopefully we will enlighten some people for addiction, recovery, and dealing with an issue that a lot of us haven't really had an occasion to deal with, but you've had to deal with all your life. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
Yeah. Something I always love to say is that when you see a transgender, just remember this. We're just like you. We live, we laugh, we cry. We get married, we have children, we love, and we die. Just like every other human being in the world. And all we want, you may not understand us. You don't even have to like us. But there's no reason to hate us.
That's a hell of a message. That's a good way to end this podcast. This has been Odyssey House Journals. You can catch us on, all you have to do is Google it, just Odyssey House Journals, and you can watch this on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, or it's available in audio versions on every place you get podcasts. So, Rachel, great seeing you again.
Thank you.
And Tisha, thank you
Rachel.
so much for bearing your soul for a half hour. And
Anytime.
Okay. And we will,
It's a subject I kind of like to talk about.
it's kind of personal, isn't it?
It is.
On behalf of all of us, thank you very much for watching, and tune in again next time for Odyssey House Journals.